like this, blah, 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 blah. I can make your desire, yes, I can jump in the fire. I can play with my money, yes, I can play with your body. I can boom, boom, bang. I can bang, bang, boom. I can ring, drink, think. I can do everything. 'Cause I'm a Superman. Superman.
No, that's quite enough of that. I appreciate your Eurovision effort, but I hear you came second, so I'm not going to play any more of that song. So I asked for this fancy microphone earlier on today, and I feel now a bit kind of like Kylie Minogue, Jesus Christ. But just to make sure you all understand the concept, I am Alexander the Gay this evening. I have to admit, so I've come all the way from Scotland, hence the strange accent you can hear. And when I got here, my producer said to me, why did you bring this with you from Scotland? Do you know how many of these fucking helmets we have in Skopje? Why would you bring that through in your hand luggage? But I'm wearing it proudly, and I'm going to tie it into my act, and we're going to have some fun tonight. Are we up for some fun? Marvellous, marvellous. So, as I say here, what to expect from this evening? We have some presentations at the side of the room. I will call your attention to it when that's needed, a bit like the safety demonstration from an air hostess, yes. You can expect some costume changes, crap dad jokes, some singing, yes, some audience participation. You look fucking terrified. It's okay. I'm not going to make anyone come up here and sing with me, don't worry. There'll be some videos that I made when I was going mad and a little bit horny during lockdown. I will give you a bit of a lecture, and I want you to tell me when I'm speaking too fast. I am aware I'm Scottish. That means I go at 300 miles an hour, and if you hear me and you think, what the fuck is he saying? Just say, slow down. Let's practice that. Also a good thing to shout during sex. And based on what I've heard this evening from the Preach stories, I have to admit, I didn't understand a word, but I think the men in Scotland might be quite similar to the men in North Macedonia from what I got from it. So, without further ado, I'm going to share with you some fun facts that I share in common with Alexander the Great. Both of us are redheads. Yes, this is my own hair color. Very nice, very nice. I'll prove that to you later on. He had to struggle to become king. Yes, Alexander the Great struggled to become king. And I have to admit that in order to get a laugh, I had to become a drag king because people in the world don't think women are funny. So I had to start dressing up in drag in order to be taken seriously. So we share that in common. Alexander the Great named more than 20 cities after himself, and that's something that drag acts tend to do as well. We love to come up with funny names, so I'm usually called Boris Gay because I sing the songs of Doris Day. Anyone know who Doris Day is in here? Okay, then I really will make you sing later. Alexander the Great said, the only thing that reminds me I'm mortal are sex and sleep. And I have to say, I feel exactly the same way myself, except the two things that remind me I'm mortal are chips and cheese. So we have that in common as well. Alexander the Great named a city after, he named a city after his horse. You know that famous city horse? Yeah, no, I've not heard of it either. And when Alexander the Great met his wife, it was love at first sight. Oh, what a lovely story, him and Roxanne. And I'm going to tell you a story of love at first sight for me. So this story is called Susie Sue and the Band She. This is a wee photo of Alexander the Great from a film that he was in, and that's Jared Leto wearing far too much eyeliner. I like it, I like it. This, however, is Anne-Marie O'Malley. Anne-Marie O'Malley is one of the sexiest women I have ever laid eyes on. Now, this is a real person in case you're wondering, but please do not Google her, because if 150 people from North Macedonia Google her, it's going to look really fucking weird. But She was one of the most beautiful women I'd ever seen in my life, and she was Irish, which meant that she could outdrink me, and I'm Scottish, so that's hard. Anne-Marie O'Malley really loved animals, and in fact, she was a big fan of the band Susie, Sue, and the Banshees. Is anybody here old enough to even remember who they are? Good, good. So she'd named her rabbit after this band, and there was one night where we'd gone out drinking very heavily. I'd gone back to her house with her, and then I had promptly been outdrank, and I had to be put to bed. Shameful behaviour, shameful behaviour. What happened after that, though, was that I got up at one point and thought I vomited into a pint glass that was next to the bed. Not a good thing to do when you're trying to seduce someone, no. But about 10 minutes later, her friend came into the room and said, "You need to go and sleep on the couch." Oh, not a good thing to hear. Why was I being moved from her bed to the couch? What had I done wrong? Well, it turns out the next morning, I went back through to her bedroom and I said, "Can you tell me what I did so wrong last night that made you move me from your bed to the couch? I thought we were going to make love all night long. I thought it was going to be amazing." And that's when I realized her bedroom was full of posters of the rabbit, pillows with the rabbit's face on it, all kinds of things with the rabbit on it. And she said to me, "Do you know what you were sick into last night?" And I was like, "A glass next to the bed?" No, I vomited all over her dead rabbit's urn that she kept right next to the fucking bedside. What? Who keeps their dead rabbit's urn next to the bedside? So I ruined it. I ruined my chances with Anne-Marie O'Malley. But it's okay. We're still friends now. She has forgiven me, but I don't recommend that you vomit into anything that you don't know what it is, first of all. So I thought what I'd do, since I do my kind of singing thing usually, is sing you a little song all about unrequited love. This one is one by Barbra Streisand. Any Barbra Streisand fans in the house? Yeah. This one's called Cry Me a River. Her performance is deranged, so I'm going to do it a little bit deranged as well. It's a karaoke background. Now you say you love me. Do you want to fucking come up here and do it instead? You cried the long night through. Well, you can cry me a river. Cry me a river. I cried a river over you. Yes, I did, Anne-Marie. Oh, that's awful. Now you say you're sorry for being so untrue. What can you do then? Well, you can cry me a river. What can you do? Cry me a river. I cried a river over you. Yeah, that's right, that's right. What happened, Babs? You drove me, nearly drove me out of my head, while you never shed a tear. I remember all that you said. Told me love was too plebeian. Told me you were through with me, and now you say you're sorry. This is the bit I always forget the words, so I'm just going to repeat it. For being so untrue. Well, what can you do? Well, you can cry me a river. Cry me a river. I cried a river over you. It's the talking bit. Are you ready? You drove me, nearly drove me out of my head, while you never shed a tear. I remember, yes, I remember all that you said. Told me love was too plebeian. Told me you were through with me, and now you say you love me. Well, just to prove that you do, trumpets, come on, cry me a river, cry me a river. I cried a river over you. I cried a river. Oh, burst my belt. Over you. Thank you. Turns out the Kylie Minogue microphone's a little bit more awkward to work with than I thought. You shouldn't put things this close to your mouth, really, should you? So I've been having a wonderful week here in Skopje. I've been given a personal tour by my lovely producer here, Jana, yes. And I've been having a walk through some of your parks. Yes, I went to go and see the Women Warrior Park. And I have to admit, there weren't a lot of women in Women Warrior Park, am I right? Yeah, one monument, one statue, and then a lot of other statues of men. And I thought that I would tell you a little bit of like Scottish colloquialism that you can bring to the park to make it a little bit more, shall we say, activist for you. So in the UK, when somebody is trans but they don't know it yet, we say they are an egg. And when they figure out that they are transgender, they crack their egg. So when I was looking at this monument here, I thought, look at these 4 handsome trans masked men cracking their egg in Women Warrior Park. So here we go, it's now Trans and Women Warrior Park, Skopje. It's always nice to crack an egg with friends. So the last thing that I want to talk to you about that I share with Alexander the Great is that he had a fear called, oh goodness, ailurophobia. Does anybody know what ailurophobia is? Anyone heard that one before? It means a fear of cats. But this is how I know Alexander the Great was gay, because it means that he had a fear of pussy, right? Am I right? And the next thing that I would like to do is a little dance routine where I try and show Alexander that he shouldn't be scared of cats. This one is a little video I made during lockdown, and you can look at the video, you can look at me, you can get a drink. Please don't go home, for God's sake. And this one is called Big Cat. Here we go. Can you hear any of my big cat? No, I can't hear my big cat either. Arrgh. Oh. It's never a party unless there's a tech problem. Oh, it's like when you're Spotify DJing and it all goes horribly wrong and everyone in the room is like, that song was shit. Let's have a look-see. Well, if I can't do the cat, it's all right. We can talk about pussies all night anyway. It's not going to be a problem. It's not on the screen. It's not on the stage. Thank you. I don't know what I did to make it go away. They say never to work with children or animals, and I think this is exactly what that might mean. Oh. Let's see if this one works. Yeah, thank you. No. Can you see that one? It's the start to the worst tango in the world. You know what I can do instead? I can sing some Doris Day. How about that? If in doubt, get Doris Day out. Yeah, that's what I've learned. So this one is called Secret Love. Does anybody know this one? Maybe you'll recognize it once it gets going. Oh. One second. Root. Here we go. Let's try this again. And can you see that? Good. So this is a song from Alexander the Gay, straight to you, Skopje. And this one's called Secret Love. Once I had a secret love that lived within the heart of me. All too soon my secret love became impatient to be free. So I told a friendly star the way that dreamers often do, just how wonderful you are, and why I'm so in love with you. Now I shouted from the highest hills. I even told the golden daffodils. At last my heart's an open door, and my secret love's no secret anymore. I think you're beginning to get what the secret is, aren't you, folks? So usually, at this point, I would pick a handsome man from the audience to come up, and I would play with him a bit. We'd get to know each other a bit. Maybe have a little kiss, but in the COVID era, that isn't safe. So instead, all I'm going to do is try and show you a bit more of myself. Let's see if I can get this on the go. Oh, fucking Crocs. Oh. Now I shout it from the highest hills. I even told the golden daffodils. At last my arse is an open door, and my secret love's no secret anymore. It's not quite what I had planned, but we work with what we've got to work with, don't we? Oh, well, usually at this point I was going to show you a video with a small interlude to get myself changed into my next outfit, but because I'm a professional, what I'm going to do is get changed while I give you a lecture. How about that then? Right. It's maybe quite exposing, but you know, we might as well get to know each other before I see you on Tinder later anyway. So I'm an alpha male. I am not really looking for anything serious at the moment. I'm into cooking and Netflix, and yeah, I'm about 31% mask and 69% all into Skopje. Yeah. So I thought what you really wanted from a Thursday evening was an art history lecture. Was I right? Oh, actually, much more enthusiasm for that than I would have anticipated. Well, I'm going to fucking give it to you now. I want to tell you why feminist and queer art history is important. Yes, it's something we should all be paying attention to, despite the fact it seems like a bunch of overqualified fannies doing far too much for far too little respect. But I am one of them, and I'm proud, and I want to show you why you should be too. So, usually, most people say that performance art started around 1916. This was Dadaism that happened in Zurich in the Café Voltaire. The Café Voltaire ran from January, February time till about July. So it wasn't a very faithful endeavour, but it did involve a lot of kind of experimental poetry and performance art, which was very exciting. In fact, so exciting that about 60 years later, you get the Viennese actionists, who were a rowdy bunch in Vienna who wanted to basically pull apart formal art education, oh Christ, and do some dirties in public. Yes, they urinated, they vomited. Urinated? That's not a word. Urinated. There you go. My English is getting worse by the fucking minute too. They urinating, covered themselves in their own excrement, masturbated, and made themselves vomit, which is kind of like that night out I had with Anne-Marie O'Malley as well, really. Then moving on to 1972, we had Vito Acconci's Seedbed. This was a piece in which he lay under some boards in the gallery exhibition space and masturbated while talking about the fantasies that he was having about the people who were there at the exhibition at the time. Now, he said that this was something supposed to teach you about consent between relationships and audiences. But I really don't think there's that much consent about a man wanking at you from underneath the floorboards. Do you agree? Next up was Yves Klein, who patented this beautiful colour of blue called Klein Blue. But he was using the female body in a particularly odd way in the 1960s. He decided to dip women's bodies in paint and roll them over the floor while he was wearing a suit and tie. While he did this, he played the monotone symphony, a single note played for 20 minutes, followed by 20 minutes of silence, which is kind of what I imagine a date with him might be like. 20 minutes of a droning by a twat and then nothing. Yes, yeah, it would give me about that response as well. However, if you wanted to get creative with performance art, you could start using your body in particularly exciting ways, like Shigeko Kubota's vagina painting from 1965. What she did was, popped the old paintbrush. Thanks, darling. Kylie Minogue doesn't have these problems, does she? Fabulous, thank you. There we go, quick costume change. You can make your own vagina paintings by getting a paintbrush, dipping yourself in some paint, and then making your way across the floor. And this was a new way of creating body art by using the body in new ways. Thank you, dear. Next up, we have Marina Abramovic, whose Rhythm 10 in 1973 involved stabbing herself between the fingers at an ever-increasing pace. She refers to herself as the grandmother of performance art, so I want to be the granddaddy of performance art by the time I'm finished. What she did with these knives was she'd stab at the outstretched fingers, and every time she pierced her skin, she would select a new knife and start all over again, which is kind of like what getting an art history degree is like as well. Every time you start a new piece of work, it's like fucking stabbing yourself all over again with a new knife. Yes, this is one of my favourites, Carolee Schneemann's Interior Scroll from 1975, in which she read from a scroll that was unrolled as she pulled it from her vagina. The text was to talk about going against the bodily processes that people seem to see are affected with females, and men being to do with order and rationality. She said, "I thought of the vagina in many ways, physically, conceptually, as a sculptural form, an architectural referent, the source of sacred knowledge, ecstasy, birth passage, transformation," which is kind of how I see the vagina as well, definitely. Another person who liked to think about how they see the vagina was Judy Chicago, who in 1972 started getting together pieces of feminist artworks and made her most well-known work, The Dinner Party, in the 70s. The Dinner Party is a series of great ladies throughout history that are realised in these plates that look a little bit like the female form, and basically they commemorate an important historical figure. Now, as I was thinking about why feminist art is important, I thought of this tweet that I saw recently, which says, "What the fuck do I do if all these cis girls in my class won't stop making fucking vulva art?" Somebody replied, "I hate white feminists," and somebody else said, "This is garbage, mama, but I'm here to tell you that my PhD is about feminist art history, and I study how Jesus Christ's side wound looked a lot like vaginas 800 years ago." Yes, this is a genuine piece of manuscript art from Britain, and the other one is Dutch, I think. And this is Jesus Christ's side wound, and let me tell you, for 800 years, it just does not stop coming. And I absolutely love these images, and I think that it's something we should all take a good interest in. Let's get to grips with the vulva, at least in the 22nd century. To go back to Dick's, though, Chris Burden's Shoot in 1971 was a piece of art in which he got his friend to shoot at him while he was photographed and filmed. It was only supposed to graze him, but it got him quite badly in the arm. And that, in 1971, was very fucking shocking. However, I wish it was that easy in 2022, because most artists I know would get shot or worse for a chance at an art career, right? Who would get shot for an art career? Woo! Me, yeah, me too. Excuse me. Chris Burden did lots of things for art and attention, including nailing himself to a Volkswagen VW and proclaiming himself the new Christ. Now, that at the time was very shocking, but I'm more interested now in kinds of contemporary artwork by women who make things such as Rennie Cox's Yo Mama's Last Supper, which in 2001 was so shocking that the mayor of New York passed comment on it. 2001 is not that fucking long ago, but give me a whoop if you were born after 2001. Oh, it's okay, you don't need to be ashamed. It's okay, it's okay. You're the next generation. The power is in your hands. This is another performance artist from the UK called Franco B, who said that today the artist is treated like a cheap Jesus, and I want to challenge that by breaking down vision. If someone looks at you, they either want to fuck you, rob you, or sell you something. And I have to agree, most of the time that tends to be true. Now, you have an exceptional Pride programme here in Skopje, and I believe that you had Ron Athey here a couple of years ago. Give me a whoop if you were there. And last year as well. Oh, Franco B last year as well. Oh, fantastic. Well, he is lecturing tomorrow night, and his work is all about being a queer man and dealing with the kind of AIDS controversy. And I thought that it was quite important this evening to mention this, because I hear you have your own Pride March that's coming up in Skopje, and I want you all to remember to come out for love on the 25th of June. Are you going to be there? Excellent, excellent to hear. Because what the fuck is with this shit in the news about the monkeypox spread being to do with gay men? Let me tell you right now, that is false news, fake science, and not true in the slightest. So yeah, I want you to be coming out for love next month, even if I won't be here, because I'll be doing this kind of thing in Glasgow, which I have on good authority is really great to watch. Great performance art right here now. I'm going to try and put some trousers on a little bit and sing a little bit more to you. I just wanted to conclude by saying that if you can shove it up your arse, that it's art. That's basically all you need to do to become an artist. And it's important that everybody realizes that you've got to be brave, you've got to be strong, you've got to call yourself an artist even when you don't feel like it, even when you feel terrified. And tonight, I just want to say the performances have been exceptional. I didn't understand a word, and I still wanted to watch them from start to finish. So a big round of applause for the brave people who came up tonight to do things for the first time, their own first stand-up. And as you can see, for how it's gone for myself, it doesn't always quite go the way you want it to. But you have to give things a try and find out for yourself. It's okay, I'm not finished. This is like, am I being marched out of the venue? Bad wedding guest. What was it? Oh, who was the one that had a nip slip while she was wearing the roving mic as well? I feel like that right now, except it's much less dignified. Janet Jackson, 2001, well remembered. Let's have a look. Okay, I'm going to finish by singing a song that we sang together in Skopje just a couple of years ago, and I want you all to sing along if you know the words, which I believe that you will do. And instead of being K Sarah Sarah by Boris Gay, tonight I'm going to give you Gay Sarah Sarah. Yes, I'm all about the cheap dad jokes, terrible times. Here we go. So, play from the beginning, you bastard. Let's see. Ta-da! Oh, yes! Sorry, the words are up on the walls if you want to join in as well. I'll let you know when to come in. When I was just a little boy, I asked my mother, what will I be? Will I be pretty? Will I be rich? Here's what she said to me. Gay Sarah, Sarah, whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera. What will be, will be. When I grew a job and fell in love, I asked my sweetheart what lies ahead. Will there be rainbows day after day? Here's what my sweetheart said. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera. What will be, will be. Now I have children of my own. They ask their father, what will I be? Will I be handsome? Will I be rich? I tell them tenderly. All together. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera. What will be, will be. The big high note at the end. Que sera, sera. Thank you. Thank you, folks. Well, it's been a disaster, but I've been Boris Gay. Thank you so much. And let's give it up for Preach, Preach and Tink! And just before I go, there was one last thing that I wanted to give maybe to Sophia that might help out later on. She told me that she was definitely going to tell me all about the story again in the hotel later on in English, and I'm going to make sure she does it every bit as loud as the performance was. I think this might help with some of our anal problems. So, Sophia, wherever you are, I'll give that to you later, darling. Thanks very much.